Hey Dr. Shire, the objective of skill 8 was to basically take cosine inverse graphs and secant inverse graphs and do appropriate dilations and translations, and basically you had to pick values for A, B, C, and D. So basically I picked 4, 5, 6, and 8, and I was left with these two altered graphs. And so we had to change an amplitude, horizontal dilation, horizontal translation, and vertical translation. So basically the original range of the cosine inverse graph was from 0 to pi. And so basically, since everything got shifted down, you're going to go 0 minus pi over 8, and you're going to take pi minus 4 over 8. But since it's an amplitude shift, it's going to go a lot higher, so it's 4 times higher. So instead of pi, it's 4 pi, and you also have to subtract pi over 8 from that, since it's a vertical translation of down pi over 8. And so for the domain, you also shifted the whole thing right 6. And since there's a horizontal dilation, it originally went from -1 to 1, but since that it's a 1/5, it's going to turn that -1 into -1/5, and that +1 into 1/5 or 1/5. So basically, that's showing the horizontal translation. This shows the horizontal dilation. And so for the secant inverse graph, you have to it's also the same premise, the same numbers that are used. And then originally the range is from 0 to the top of the graph, or well, from 0 to asymptote to top of the graph. And so that asymptote was originally at pi over 2, and the top of the graph was originally at pi. But since now we have we have an amplitude of 4, so that top of the graph is going to go to 4 pi, and the middle of the graph is going to go to 2 pi. And so now our the middle of our graph is going to be at 2 pi, which is our asymptote. Top of our graph, 4 pi, still starting at, no, now it's not going to start at 0. It's going to start a little bit below 0, which is pi over 8, negative pi over 8. And so basically that's how we determined it. So 0 minus pi over 8 is going to be the start. And then 2 pi minus pi over 8 is where our asymptote is going to lie. And so that's why we have to do a union, because you're not going to have any points in that asymptote range. And so then you start back up right after the asymptote, and you go all the way up to the top of the graph. And since it's also shifted down pi over 8, you have to go 4 pi minus pi over 8. So that's the range right there. That's the exact range. And then for the domain, we know that the graph goes all the way to the left and all the way to the right. And we also shifted it right 6. And we also we shifted the whole thing right 6, and the horizontal dilation as at first was at -1 to 1 basically. Now since it's 1/5, you have to take 1/5 of 1, and which is 1/5. So now it's these are closer in together. This is not drawn exactly to scale, but there's basically a 2/5 gap right here, like in between the two things, because from 6 to -1, or yeah, negative. So it'd be 5 and 4/5 right here. And then it'd be 5 and 4/5, and then 6 and 1/5 right here. So basically that's it's going to include these points because there's still a dot there. It's not an asymptote exactly. So to the right, and then to the right, it's also going to finish up infinity. And so that's basically skill 8.